All right, we just crossed the 55-minute mark away from launch. Sitting right next to Doug Hurley, who's closest to your screen, is NASA astronaut Bob Behnken. He is the Joint Operations Commander for Demo2, and Behnken previously flew on 2 space shuttle missions, STS-123 and STS-130, and also served a tour as Chief of the Astronaut Office. So here's a little bit more about the man who said testing out a brand new spacecraft is an astronaut's dream.
When you go through the launch day preparations, there's a lot of moments that kind of stand out to you. One is the kind of the celebratory piece of it, which is that you're walking out of the suit-up room and getting in the vehicle that's going to take you to the launch pad. When you close the hatch, that's really when Doug and I are in the vehicle, and it's our vehicle, and we're really in control of the mission at that point.
Test pilots, their task proved that man could fly into orbit around the Earth and return live and well to talk about it.
There's always a balance of managing risk as you go forward to execute a test point and figuring out a way to collect the data. We hear a sound. Okay, is that sound an expected sound? Or we see a light, is that light an expected light? What's the source of it? Does it sync up with something else that's going on or not? So trying to dissect all of that in real time in your head is, a lot of things happen like that on launching of a vehicle.
From St. Anne, Missouri, he is an Air Force colonel and flight test engineer. He flew aboard Space Shuttle Endeavour twice. Introducing NASA astronaut Bob Behnken.
My career at NASA has kind of spanned a couple of decades at this point. I arrived with the class of 2000. Went through the training program, primarily focused on the space shuttle and the International Space Station, learning those systems. Having launched a couple times on vehicles, the second time was definitely different than the first time. You can feel a little bit guilty of, hey, should I study one more thing, or is there one more piece of information I should get? Am I really prepared or not? So that's definitely different between where I was on my first flight and where I'm at right now. It's been really interesting, I think, for both my wife and I to have gone through the process of seeing each other launch in space. I've seen her take that risk and had it be in front of her, and I've done that to her. And there's just something different about watching a rocket launch when there are people on board. You feel a little bit differently about the pit of your stomach, and I can only tell you it's multiplied significantly when it's somebody that you know, and then somebody, of course, that's a family member. It's even multiplied more.
For me personally, as a spouse, watching everything that Bob has put into this over the last 5 years, the dedication that he's shown, the perseverance is pretty special. For both of us, though, the way our minds work, it won't be until sort of the mission is complete that you have really a chance to savor it and celebrate it. This is a huge accomplishment for an Air Force flight test engineer to be part of the demonstration mission of a brand new vehicle. It's going to be amazing.
Without a partner that has that same appreciation, I think it can be challenging for some folks. There's a lot of work and a lot of time that takes away from family that that my spouse appreciates, and I love her for that. Really, my role on the Demo2 mission is to make sure that we get this vehicle tested and evaluated so that we can move on to more operational missions at the International Space Station. We've got a lot of objectives on board the vehicle that we need to accomplish to really make sure that it's good to go. We'll make sure all those systems are working during the test flight so that the future missions will have them available even if they don't plan to utilize them. Through years of the NASA team, helping to share that experience and teaching them the lessons that we've learned by going through this. Now there's another capability in the U.S. besides NASA to operate something of this magnitude. When is the last time humans launched on a new vehicle? Certainly on the American side, it's been several decades. Now we're in a time when we've got multiple vehicles under development. It's a great time from a space exploration time frame just to see all that happening, and it's because of this nurturing of the environment, being able to pull in a wider group of people who can contribute towards human spaceflight. It's a super cool time. On a deeply personal level, I'm really excited that my son is get a chance to see me launch into space. Being an astronaut has been a little bit of an abstraction thing for him because he's seen me do it in old videos, but he hasn't seen me do it for real. And so I'm excited for him to see this launch. I want to thank the entire Commercial Crew Program team that's worked together to get to this point where we've got vehicles in the launch pad ready to head to the International Space Station.
We're just over 49.5 minutes away from launch of the Falcon 9 carrying Dragon to the space station. Right now, the launch director and the launch team are preparing for a readiness for launch poll. In this poll, the 13 members of the launch team will electronically indicate a go for launch. This is also the go for propellant load. Now, we're going to hear that in a couple of minutes, so while we wait, we are tracking you watching from all over the country. We're seeing large numbers of you logging on or tuning in from coast to coast, as well as around the world. We want to know, is this your first time watching a launch live? If not, how many have you seen before? Tell us using the hashtag LaunchAmerica from your favorite social media website. As for me, this isn't my first one. I've seen a lot, but everyone is exciting. Now, coming up, we're going to go into a readiness poll, as I mentioned. Currently, right now, on other nets, the SpaceX launch director is checking to verify the Dragon team is ready and that the NASA launch management team is ready. They'll come back at about T-minus 47 minutes with instructions to the SpaceX Falcon 9 team to make their final assessments. Then they log into the procedure. It's a little different than the old days where you would hear a go, 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 you know, position by position, all up and down the row. In this electronic age, everybody just clicks on whether they're go or no go. The launch director will then, at T-minus 45 minutes, summarize the end of the poll and will then provide instructions for the team. At the same time, we will begin getting ready for the crew access arm retraction, and we'll show you that on one of the screens that we've got up. Now, currently, we are continuing to monitor the weather. The weather is still red. It is improving. We're looking at one cell between the radar and the pad. We're keeping our fingers crossed that conditions will improve, but we're going to be watching that for about another 15 minutes. So it looks like we're going to be good to begin propellant load once we hear the polls, but we still have to get the get the range green so that we can actually do the launch in just 47 minutes from now. Let's listen to the countdown net for a moment. Right now, coming up on 46 minutes, 10 seconds before launch. Didn't hear any significant chatter coming over countdown one.
Yes, launch director in the countdown net. Poll is complete, and we have a go to proceed with propellant load. Launch control, proceed with swing in the crew arm. Arming crew arm movement for T-minus 45 minutes. Thank you, launch control. A reminder in control room on hold and launch escape protocol. For non-urgent no-go conditions, brief CE or LD, and it will approve aborting the launch auto sequence and proceed to launch abort. For urgent issues affecting the safety of the operation, operators shall call hold on the countdown net. Launch control will abort the launch auto sequence immediately and proceed into the launch abort auto sequence. Operators shall also advise the launch director whether structural breakup or fire is imminent or occurring per Dragon manual escape flight rules. Remainder on fire alarm instructions. Here in Fire Room 4, in the event of a fire alarm, key operators, previously briefed, will remain at their post while the alarm is evaluated. In the the event that personal safety is threatened, we will evacuate to the south-facing emergency exit, which leads directly outside. One final reminder, we'll be arming the launch escape system momentarily. Need all personnel, please stay in your seats from now through orbit insertion and Dragon separation from the second stage.
Crew access arm retract has started.
And you've heard Mike Taylor, the SpaceX launch director, give instructions to the team. We've also just heard the call. The crew access arm retraction is underway. Great view from the camera inside the White Room as we see the arm moving away from the Dragon capsule, one of the major events necessary to get down to T0. The next one coming up will be arming of the escape system on the Dragon capsule. Now, right now, the next plan for Falcon 9, T-minus 35 minutes, we will begin loading propellant onto the first and second stages. Now, currently, Falcon 9's looking good, Dragon's looking good. The range continues to be go for launch in terms of the clearance around the launch pad, both the air and the sea space. Looking at the flight corridor, the ground stations, the NASA tracking and data relay satellites are ready to support. And we just continue to monitor the weather. Our team is getting constant updates. We're monitoring weather data sensors around the launch site, looking to make sure that we can get everything into the green position. The one that we're mostly looking at right now is how much rain we're going to get between now and liftoff, whether it's just going to be mild precipitation that's within the rules for loading propellant. That's what the expectation is, but we're going to continue to watch that. So fingers crossed, but right now coming up at T-minus 43 minutes, 18 seconds and counting, everything but the weather's go, and the weather is trending in the right direction. So we've got our fingers crossed here. At this time, we're going to send it back over to Kennedy Space Center as the action is picking up on the launch pad.
Thanks, John I. Now that countdown clock is continuing to tick, and we are 42 minutes and 46 seconds away from launch. Now, as you just saw, the crew arm retracted. That is the last major visual milestone before liftoff. And we should be hearing out on the net soon confirmation that the launch escape system is armed. When that happens, all 8 of the Super Draco throttle valves are opened, which means that those engines can ignite.
For section 7.
Okay. So that means those 8 throttle valves are opened, and if those Super Dracos needed to fire in order for Dragon to escape off of the pad, they could.
And so things running just a little bit ahead of schedule right now.
Fuel bleed is complete.
Now we just saw the crew access arm retract just a minute ago. We saw NASA astronauts Doug Hurley.
In 7.2, our visors are closed and we're arming the launch escape system.
So we just heard the astronauts confirm that they are about to arm the launch escape system. That happens just before fueling begins, which we expect to happen in just a couple of minutes. We saw Bob and Doug suit up a little over 3 hours ago. Then we watched them drive out to Launch Complex 39A. They were assisted by the SpaceX ground team with Crew Dragon ingress. That happened a little before 2 o'clock this afternoon. And then we saw the spacecraft hatch close. And again, just a minute ago, we saw the crew access arm retract. We just heard that the crew armed the launch escape system. And in just a few minutes, we are going to hear the call that they have started propellant loading.
Launch escape system is verified armed.
So we just heard that verification that the launch escape system is armed.
We're switching to GN2.
And we are going to send it over to Hawthorne to take us through prop loading. Jesse?
From the parachutes to the launch escape system, SpaceX has designed Crew Dragon and Falcon 9 to be the safest launch vehicle ever flown. And joining us today, we have SpaceX's Nick Picone, who was our mission manager for our in-flight abort mission earlier this year and currently works on the Starlink team. Thanks for joining us, Nick.
Hey, Jesse. I'm here at the Launch and Landing Recovery Center with the recovery team and our Dragon ground operations team monitoring the launch.
Awesome. Can you tell us more about the critical safety features on this new version of Dragon?
Sure. So Dragon 2 was designed with long-term reuse and reliability in mind. So fundamentally, there are multiple layers of redundancy to any of the failure modes that we could conceive of, that NASA could conceive of when we were working to design and test this vehicle over the past few years. But in the event that we encounter an unforeseen failure mode or multiple failures which push us outside of our design space, Dragon also has backup systems and operational controls intended to keep Bob and Doug safe. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it today, but the launch escape system is the primary backup system that we have from the moment that the vehicle is here on pad being fueled all the way up until orbital insertion. At a high level, the launch escape system, in the event of a major Falcon anomaly or emergency, will terminate Falcon thrust, separate Dragon from Falcon, and it'll use Dragon's 8 Super Draco engines to quickly pull the vehicle away from any kind of Falcon anomaly.
And you talked a lot about the launch escape system. How exactly is that activated? Is it autonomous? Is it manually activated?
Definitely. So for this system to work as designed, you have to remember that the vehicle could be flying at hundreds or thousands of miles an hour through the lower atmosphere. So it's really important that it's extremely fast and highly reliable with very low chance of false positives. The launch escape system fundamentally is set to look at a set of pre-programmed criteria which are on board the vehicle. Dragon and Falcon are looking at high rate telemetry, looking for abnormal vehicle dynamics, loss of communication between critical systems, or manual commanding. Our launch director and chief engineer, who you've heard a lot from today, are capable of sending a manual command to Dragon to initiate a launch escape. And Bob and Doug are also always able to actuate the launch escape handle and initiate a launch escape themselves as well. Now that the system is armed, all of this is currently active on the vehicle.
Wow, it sounds like there's a lot that goes into it. And we did have an in-flight abort test earlier this year to test this out. Can you tell us what we learned from that test?
Definitely. It was possibly the most flight-like test of an orbital class booster in history. It was a fully flight-like test using a full Falcon 9 rocket, which we had to knowingly destroy in order to get this fully integrated system. For folks who didn't get a chance to see it, the vehicle followed a normal crew launch trajectory. About a minute and a half into flight, we had Dragon autonomously trigger the launch escape system based on a reconfiguration of those triggers I was just talking about.
For propellant
And
load.
thankfully we had we continued through flight, had a successful parachute deployment and splashdown, and we did see Falcon rather spectacularly blow up about 10 seconds after separation. It's important to recognize that all of that happens from command to actual separation of the vehicle in under half a second.
Wow, yeah, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining us and talking through those details with us. Enjoy the launch today. So we're going to send it back to KSC with Lauren.
Thank you, Jesse. We are about a minute and a half away from propellant load. At T-minus 35 minutes, we should hear the call out on the nets that propellant load has started. So that's about a minute and 13 seconds away.
Hey, Marie and Lauren, I am getting goosebumps over here. This is an exciting moment. When I was sitting in the vehicle, when we retracted everything, when all the prop was getting loaded up, I was just going through my crew notebook. I was thinking about, what my first step would be if there was a malfunction, because usually everything goes nominally when you fly to space, but you have to think about the things that you have to take care of, the first steps you have to take care of. And on my mission, I was calling out the abort calls, like if we had lost an engine, where would we go next, when the different abort calls around the country and around the world. So I think that's what those guys are probably thinking about now, and just really getting ready for this mission to go off.
Absolutely, and we're just now about 20 seconds from when we expect propellant loading to start. Again, that's fueling of the rocket.
All right, we're getting close. We should hear that call out any second now on the nets. So let's listen in.
Propellant load has started.
Fantastic. So prop load has started. We've started loading liquid oxygen on stage 1 and stage 2. And yeah, liquid oxygen and RP1, which is our rocket grade kerosene. So now that we are 34 minutes and 42 seconds away from the first launch of astronauts into orbit from American soil since 2011, we know that the launch escape system is armed, which happened just before fueling. Dragon prop load happened weeks ago, actually just a few miles down the road at what we call Dragonland. And those propellants, which are MMH, or monomethylhydrazine, that's our fuel, and NTO, or nitrogen tetroxide, that's our oxidizer, those not only feed the Draco engines that propel Dragon on orbit, but they also supply those 8 Super Draco engines of the launch escape system. So I have one right here, a little model. Oh, it doesn't come off the stand.
Don't break it, Lauren.
All right, I know, it's very nice. So as you can see, Dragon is actually broken up into 4 quads, and each quad has 2 of the Super Draco engines for a total of 8 of them. And as I mentioned, they are biprop engines. They have MMH and NTO as their oxidizer. Now, most abort systems from past space vehicles, I believe like Soyuz, Mercury, Apollo, they all had a pointy escape tower on top where there was essentially like a mini rocket engine or a series of rocket engines on top. And if they weren't used, that escape tower would have to jettison itself from the vehicle. If it was used, it would be used to lift the vehicle off of the rocket. Well, Dragon is a little bit different in that its escape system is actually integrated into the vehicle. And that's great for a couple of reasons. One less thing you have to jettison on a nominal flight. Right. And so they're pretty dormant, just those throttle valves open unless they're used, and hopefully they never have to be. And yeah, I mean, the other thing that offers you is the ability to escape from the pad all the way to orbit. Right. Because if you jettisoned your escape system prior to that, you couldn't. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a little Dragon there.
Again, right. New era, much safer design.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for walking us through that, Lauren. Again, the launch escape system is armed. That protects Bob and Doug so that if something were to go wrong, they can shoot off of the pad away from the rocket and parachute to safety in the ocean. That is such a crucial safety capability. And so now we want to go over to Hawthorne for an operational update with John.
Thanks, Marie. We are counting down those final minutes. Everything is still looking good on the Falcon 9 and the Dragon vehicles for an on-time launch, but weather is trending the wrong way right now. We're keeping our ears open in case we hear that the weather is going to be no-go for the rest of the count. Right now, we are counting down at T-minus 32 minutes.
Stage 1 locks and
Falcon 9
RP1
did
flow rates
begin
are nominal.
propellant load at T-minus 35 minutes, right on time. The propellants we use on Falcon 9 are a fuel, which is rocket-grade kerosene, also called RP1, refined petroleum. We use an oxidizer, and that's the super chilled liquid oxygen, or LOX as we call it. Those 2 propellants come together, but they don't light, so we need an ignition source to complete the fire triangle. For this, Falcon 9 uses a fluid called T-tub. You might see that just before first stage ignition, or maybe later in the second stage ignition. You get a green colored flame as the T-tub comes out into the oxygen, and that ignites the main engines right before the rocket takes off or the second stage engine lights. Now currently in the fueling, RP1 fuel is about 10% full on the first stage. That's the bottom 2/3 of the stack of the vehicle you can see on the left. The first stage is that long white cylinder at the bottom plus that black cylinder called the inner stage. That's the entire first stage that we're loading with LOX and RP1 kerosene. That's the part that comes back to Earth. The second stage just above it, the white cylinder, and then above that will be the Dragon trunk and the capsule. Now currently the second stage is also loading fuel with RP1. That's about 8% full right now. We are loading liquid oxygen on the first stage. The second stage liquid oxygen load will begin at T-minus 16.5 minutes if the weather cooperates. So LOX loading will then continue on both the first and second stage until the last few minutes of the countdown. Helium loading is also underway into pressure vessels on the first, second stage. We use that to pressurize the tanks in flight as the propellant is being pulled out by the Merlin turbopumps. Dragon on board the spacecraft. You can see the astronauts are monitoring systems while propellant is loaded into the Falcon 9. Now, when we
Stage one
flew
cryo-helium load
the
has
first
started.
demo flight last year and then the in-flight escape test earlier this year, the sounds inside the Dragon capsule were recorded. So as part of the training, the sounds of the propellant loading were played back to acclimate the crew to what they're experiencing now. I'm listening to some discussion on one of the back nets, trying to track where we are with the weather criteria. We're just passing another weather gate right now, trying to see whether or not the conditions are go. In certain situations, when the weather is no-go, you have to wait 30 minutes, and we are now inside of 30 minutes. But if the cloud moves away, if the conditions improve, we may be able to continue the countdown for another 14 minutes and reassess. So we're waiting to see whether or not we can continue the count. Currently we are. The range, they're ready to support with no problems in the air and the sea space area. But again, the weather, that's the one that's looking bad, and we're going to continue to listen. And as a reminder, today we have an instantaneous launch time. So at this point, if we hear a hold for any reason, we're going to have to stand down and target our backup launch opportunity on May 30th.
For Demo 2, Bob and Doug's flight to station will take about 19 hours, and their journey is fairly similar to the trip our cargo Dragon makes back and forth to the International Space Station, with two noticeable differences: docking and splashdown.
As we await T-0 in just a little over 28 minutes from now, ground operations teams just doing those final series of system checks, making sure both Dragon and Falcon 9 are ready for liftoff, and really keeping an eye on that weather. And you're just continuing to get live views of the teams. You've got Falcon 9 and Dragon on your left, and then Bob and Doug on the right as they prepare at the Cape for liftoff.
Once we hit T0 and a successful launch occurs, we will watch Falcon 9 and Dragon make their ascent until Falcon 9 and first and second stages separate and send Dragon on its way to the space station.
And once it gets on orbit, mission operators will prepare Dragon for on-orbit operations, where Dragon will execute a series of burns that are going to gradually raise its orbit to align more closely with the International Space Station. And you're seeing some of that track in the animation on your screen right now. After doing enough of
Dragon
those burns,
SpaceX
they'll
for
put
weather
Dragon.
update.
Oh, sounds like we're going to get a weather update real quick for the crew.
Go ahead, SpaceX.
Yeah, we're currently just evaluating a constraint on the field mill rule, which looks at lightning energy dissipation. We expect to have an update at about T-20 and more information there on whether we would be able to continue into the prop load or scrub at that time.
Ahora sí estoy acá. Pido disculpas por el retraso.
Okay, Jay, thanks for the update. We appreciate it.
Copy, so I'll give you some more words in about 6 minutes.
Bien, qué momento, ¿no?
Okay, so it sounds
para
like
mensaje por teléfono.
we're going to find out in about 6 minutes if we're going to have enough time. And John, I was referring to a couple of those weather situations where we have to have a certain amount of time.
Que es hasta ahora
in
lo
this
que más
case,
estaba
with the field
molestando en este lanzamiento.
So they have until about 16 minutes and 30 seconds to really make sure that we're going to have enough time for that to dissipate.
A ver cómo se está viendo esto.
Se
ve bastante decente.
It is going to be a pretty interesting trip uphill for them once they actually get on orbit.
Es peor que una bomba nuclear.
And a very exciting countdown with 6 minutes to figure out if we are launching today. But targeting back to what we were talking about.
Es interesante el tema de las hemorroides de los astronautas, porque sí, efectivamente sufren de estar sentado ahí muchas horas, pero hay una historia que tengo ganas de escribir y hacer un videito al respecto, que es justamente de la primera misión Gemini, creo que fue a las 7, en la cual se quedaron una semana en el espacio, y el asiento no era esto, el asiento, los lugares donde estaban, era básicamente como estar en un Volkswagen escarabajo durante una semana en el asiento de adelante. Esa fue la descripción de los astronautas, así que ¿Saben lo incómodo que debe ser?
It's typically a faster process, both when arriving and leaving, but it does still require pinpoint accuracy to approach safely.
25 minutos para el lanzamiento. Bueno, ¿cómo están ustedes ahí? ¿Cuántos nardos hay? A ver, los nardos que se juntaron. Bien, somos unos cuantos, como siempre. Vamos a promover esto un poquito por Twitter, porque me lo habían pedido las personas, así que vamos a...
Dragon will spend up to 120 days docked before preparing to return home. Following successful completion of Dragon's test objectives and cargo loading operations, the crew will close out the cabin, perform final system checks, and configure the vehicle for undocking. Once the automated undocking sequence is complete, Dragon will complete 2 departure burns using its Draco engines, pushing it away from the space station.
Ahora los chateros, ¿qué están diciendo? Ecuador, Isaac. Bueno, bienvenido a Ecuador. Te viniste hasta acá. Según los terraplanistas, esto es todo un montaje NASA. Es un montaje que me gusta mucho, vale aclarar. Acá sí, Pablo, así tratamos al público cuando se nos canta. Justo me llamaron por teléfono recién. Por eso no pude estar desde el comienzo. Los terraplanistas son un invento de los terraglobistas. Es una buena hipótesis, ojo. Tengo un volumen bajo y latoso. Sí, latoso les aviso. Estoy usando esto como micrófono. Sé que no es el mejor micrófono y si lo pongo acá se va a escuchar más fuerte. Así que bueno, Lola, chicos. Vamos a bajar un poquito más la voz del audio de video original. Hola, ojos del cielo, me manda ahí. A ver, ¿qué me dice Sebastián? Hasta ahora ningún terraplanista en el chat por lo visto. En realidad, si entra un terraplanista justo en nuestro chat, está a merced nuestra. Chicos, los dejo a ustedes, encárguense, háganse cargo de él. No voy a hacer mucho, lo puedo banear igualmente acá en el chat, pero no tiene sentido, dejémoslo. Pero la verdad que los terraplanistas con los lanzamientos están igual que los antivacunas con el COVID. Se esconden. Se dieron luz verde. Mira, por el momento hay luz verde. El tema es que como hay muchas nubes y lluvia, y alta probabilidad de lluvia, y panzan las nubes, están esperando el minuto T-20 para avisarnos. Porcentaje de éxito, me dice Diego García, que yo considero para esta misión. Yo creo que hay un 99% de éxito en esta misión. El cohete está aprobado y ya con 50 lanzamientos. La cápsula de Dragon ya está aprobada. Lo único que queda es que despeguen. El green screen. Sí, no es un green screen, es un fondo en realidad que puse acá. Perdón, acá puse un fondo animado, tenía ganas de poner algo más copado. Tenemos a alguien de Perú, Alex, bienvenido. Elon Musk reptiliano. No, Elon Musk está completamente drogado, que es distinto. 86% de que va a salir en la encuesta. Sí, nos van a vacunar desde el espacio. Esa es la idea. Bien, Gastón, está bien venir a figurar acá. Yo creo que hay bastante probabilidad de lanzamiento, estamos en un muy buen momento. El tema es las nubes, es así, pasan de costado. De hecho, pasó una tormenta hace un rato, estaba por ahí justamente, y pasó de largo, por suerte. ¿Cómo se dice el nombre del hijo de Elon Musk? Sería una muy buena encuesta, no tengo ni idea. Se mete mi mouse cuando estoy moviéndolo, pero bueno, disculpen chicos, estoy capturando de un browser a otro, es un invento divertido que hice para poder transmitir usando el OBS, programa muy útil para esto. A ver, ¿qué más tenemos? Vamos chicos, quiero saber cuándo lanza. Bueno, me empiezan a preguntar cosas que no hay ningún problema, yo las respondo, ustedes saben que yo respondo todo lo que ustedes me pregunten. ¿Cómo se dice el nombre del hijo de Elon? Alta pregunta. Hola Leonardo, ¿cómo estás? Hoy hablé todo el día. Tuve calls, varias, llamadas por teléfono, laburo. De hecho, sigo trabajando mientras hablo con ustedes. Porque bueno, that's my job. Hola Nico. Si se cae el link de viernes, no se va a caer, chicos. ¿Qué router tengo? Sí, tengo un Asus de router. Bueno, no va a haber cohete de Boeing. A mí me preguntan cómo va a transmitir el lanzamiento de un cohete de Boeing. No va a haber un Boeing, pero sí la Starliner debería salir. Y eso va a ser en un cohete Atlas, que es distinto. Atlas era, ¿no? Sí, creo que es Atlas que va a salir. Así que es United Launch Alliance el que lanza la cápsula de Boeing. Pero falta todavía, no hay novedades con respecto a eso. De hecho, tiene que haber primero un vuelo de prueba de nuevo y después el tripulado. A ver qué más dicen por acá. Es cierto que la cápsula de Boeing costará más que la Soyuz. Todo cuesta más que la Soyuz. La Soyuz tiene como 50 años ya de existencia. Obviamente la cápsula evolucionó, pero lo que voy es que es un cohete muy probado, pero con muy poca capacidad de peso. Así que no tiene nada que ver una Soyuz con esto. En tal caso podríamos comparar la Dragon con la Starliner. Pero sí, Boeing es mucho más caro siempre. Ah, Rubén, sí está la presentación del The Last of Us 2. A ver, los de The Last of Us podrían haber cambiado el streaming, no hacerlo justo ahora. A ver qué más. ¿Cuántos van a estar en la ISS? Creo que en una semana que van a estar, un poquito menos. Y después viene el Splash, es decir, tienen que volver la semana que viene y aterrizar en el Océano Atlántico. Ahí preguntaba Kirk sobre los trajes, que si no son muy blancos. Ahora, los trajes fueron diseñados por diseñadores de trajes de Avengers y demás. Así que es un tipo que sabe hacer trajes con onda, pero el traje es además funcional. No es solamente una cosa bonita, tiene que ser funcional. Ese traje tiene que permitir al tipo sobrevivir una descompresión total, es decir, darle oxígeno y sobrevivir a cambios de temperatura bruscos. No es para estar en el espacio, es un traje para estar en una cápsula encerradito, de última no es tan grave. Es muy Interstellar, sí, es verdad, eso sí. Hola Víctor, hay otro más que se suma. Parece que se cancela por lluvia, sí. Vamos a ver cómo estamos con eso. La verdad es una recagada eso. Vamos a chequear las fuentes. Si hay alguien diciendo algo más. A ver qué tenemos. ¿Qué dice Loren Bush?
At SpaceX headquarters in California. John?
And Dragon SpaceX on weather. We're still
T-minus 18 minutes and counting.
LD is
we are still red
some
on weather.
Expect an update from LD.
We're waiting in about another minute for one final check with weather. We're going to check at T-minus 17 minutes possibly. We don't really expect that things will have improved. The weather officer was not optimistic that the weather would clear up that rapidly. We did hear the launch director, Mike Taylor, joke that, you know, if we could move 10 more minutes past the T0, weather conditions may improve, but Mike was not able to do that.
Puede llegar a esperar 10 minutos más, pero puede que no.
So at 17 minutes, we want to make that call because shortly after that, we will begin loading liquid oxygen onto the second stage. So if we're not going to have the opportunity to launch, if the clock's going to run out, stand by.
Continue to violate a couple different weather rules that we now do not expect to clear in time to allow for a launch today. We go ahead and end today's launch attempt. Launch control. Go ahead and end the launch auto sequence and proceed into the launch abort auto sequence, please.
Bueno chicos, nos quedamos
Launch
sin
abort has
lanzamiento.
started.
Puede que esperen 10 minutitos más, pero la ventana de lanzamiento, como dice Idanbat, es de un segundo.
Dragon SpaceX, unfortunately, we are not going to launch today. You are go for 5.100 launch scrub.
Ah, qué tristeza, cancelaron el viaje. Bueno, era esperable con esas nubes, obviamente. Nos quedamos sin... Tristeza absoluta. Pero bueno, chicos, como ya dije, esto era esperable. El próximo lanzamiento ya les digo exactamente cuándo caía, es el sábado, pero ya les digo el horario, porque no me acuerdo bien cuándo tenían planeado. Si no me equivoco. A ver. Lo tengo por acá. Bueno, lo más probable es que el lanzamiento sea 30 de mayo. Va a ser a las 4:20. No a las 5:30 como estaba planificado. Así que, sí, imaginen que los astronautas, esto no es la primera vez que sucede que se cancela uno. Los astronautas en este momento están ahí arriba con un cohete gigante lleno de combustible criogénico y tienen que descargar todo y bajarse ellos, así que tienen que extender de vuelta el brazo, sacarlos de ahí. No es precisamente algo muy cómodo para estar, pero es normal. Hay veces que en algunos lanzamientos se pudo posponer porque la ventana del lanzamiento era más grande, entonces estuvieron 2, 3, 4, 5 horas, algunos se tuvieron que mear ahí adentro, lo cual es muy incómodo, por cierto. Pero bueno, chicos, nos quedamos sin lanzamiento. Igual voy a hacer streaming también el próximo sábado, si es que se hace el lanzamiento, así que nos juntamos de nuevo, obviamente. Ahí está explicando.
And so with that, SpaceX launch director had to call upon the input from weather.
Dragon, copies
Had to
all about
call.
Bueno, básicamente lo que dijeron es eso. Si bien se puede esperar más tiempo con el combustible que tiene, no hay tiempo para alcanzar la Estación Espacial Internacional, así que la ventana de lanzamiento era muy pequeña también. Si no, se salía a las 17:33 de la hora este, es decir, de hora nuestra, digo, 17:33, no se salía. El aborto tomó el control. Basta de pañuelos verdes. Acá me dicen que en TN todavía no se enteraron que se canceló y suelen no escuchar lo que están transmitiendo, así que puede ser. Y sí, con todo este clima de Scrubbed Lounge, todos los que sigo que son de tema espacio, todos puteando por lo mismo. Vamos a tuitear. Se canceló. Bad weather. Sí, el sábado tengo resumen semanal y de M2. Me voy a morir, todas las cosas en un mismo sábado. Además que tengo que tener una vida normal, no soy un ser humano. Ay, Dios. Bueno, pero esto era esperable, era esperable. Por eso también yo había un poco dudado en hacer el stream. Pero bueno, ¿qué le vamos a hacer? En TN no saben inglés, puede ser que no sepan mucho inglés. Algo saben, no pueden no saber. Y mandaron que Tom Hanks quería filmar el espacio. Es Tom Cruise, es verdad, Dios, a veces mandan cualquiera. Pero no cuesta tanto googlear un poquito, ¿no? Primer lanzamiento vertical o cualquier cosa. Estaría bueno que tuvieran alguien en un canal de noticias que pudiera entender estos temas. Lamentablemente es muy difícil encontrar un periodista que lo haga, porque el periodista tiene que saber de 200 temas, no de uno solo. Hoy en día es uno para todo, ¿viste? Vieron cómo es. Roberto pregunta por qué se canceló. Por mal tiempo, así que hay unas nubes terribles sobre Florida y Cabo Cañaveral está todo nublado y con lluvias y cancelaron. Ya no se lanza con tormenta como en otras épocas porque en las misiones Apolo hubo un par de rayitos que pegaron y una, creo que fue en Apolo 12, fue bastante problemático y hubo que resetear una computadora en pleno vuelo para poder despegar. Ya saldrá un video próximamente hablando exactamente de ese tema. ¿Cuándo arrancamos? Se me cortó momentáneamente la señal, así que si de pronto hubo un hueco fue por eso. Bueno, gente, no sé, seguimos charlando, así que... Ay, ay. El sábado lo más probable es que tengamos todo este procedimiento nuevo, estas 4 horas previas que tienen que hacer todos, que es desde preparar a los astronautas, subir, cargar el combustible, todo el proceso, y después, en los últimos 20 minutos, es cuando te enterás si se despega o no. Si no es el domingo, y el domingo ya les digo qué hora tenían planeado, si no, el domingo sería un poquito más temprano, sería a las 4 de la tarde de Argentina. Así que, nada, si no es el sábado, es el domingo. Y si no, no sé si tienen planeado una cuarta fecha, creo que no. Porque todo tiene que ver con la ventana de oportunidad para engancharse a la Estación Espacial Internacional. Ahora pueden ir a ver el lanzamiento de Last of Us. Bueno, sí, 100 personas viendo. ¿Hay tanta gente ahí viendo este stream? No, no hay tanta gente viendo. Así que, bueno, una pena, chiques. Me hubiese gustado ver un cohete despegar. Pero... esto es lo que pasa. El lanzamiento probable, vamos a cambiar el texto de esto. Para, texto. Vamos a poner 0%, le vamos a poner cancelado. Esto va a quedar lindo, ¿no? Ahí se ve mejor. Lanzamiento cancelado. Bueno, chicos. A ver qué más dicen. No se puede regular la NASA para enganchar igual con la Estación Espacial. No, no señores. Es una cuestión de vuelos orbitales. No es tan fácil invocarle a algo como estás en el espacio. No es como en las películas. La gente no va en la dirección que quiere en el espacio. Va en la dirección que puede. ¿Un Space Rant Live? Sí, podría ser un Space Rant Live. Estamos haciendo, de hecho, esto sería básicamente como un Space Rant Live porque se canceló, así que no nos queda otra opción de que sea en vivo el Space Rant. ¿Qué estará diciendo Elon? No, era bastante probable. De hecho, hoy arrancaron el día sabiendo que había un 50-50, que era 50-50 probabilidades de que se cancelara todo. Así que no es que no sabían en la NASA, sabían perfectamente que hoy se iba todo el cuerno. Como dice Joel Martínez, uno tiene que lanzar y invocarle a la Estación Espacial Internacional en pleno vuelo. Lo cual no es fácil, tenés que calcularlo bien y vos tenés una cantidad de combustible que podés usar y si no te alcanza, te pasaste de largo, ya no están sincronizados y tenés que volver. No, por suerte no fue pólvora mojada en este caso, simplemente fue evitemos que la pólvora se moje. Lo mejor que se puede hacer en estos casos usualmente es evitar romper todo, obviamente. ¿Por qué se meten 3 horas antes los pilotos al cohete? Bueno, el procedimiento es el siguiente. Vos tenés que entrar al cohete, que está completamente vacío. Tenés que chequear que estés bien en la cabina, que no vaya, por ejemplo, fallar el oxígeno en la cabina, así que tienen que ver que todo el sistema de respiración esté funcionando ok, que los circuitos estén óptimos. Una vez que se cierra la cabina, se empieza a llenar de combustible y vos tenés un cohete que tendrá unos 20 pisos más o menos de altura, para que se den una idea del tamaño que tiene con respecto a un edificio. Sí, es muy alto. Y tan solo, no es el más alto de todos, ¿no? Estoy aclarando. Y vos después tenés que llenarlo de combustible y de oxígeno líquido, que son elementos en el que se cargan criogénicos, es decir, están muy por debajo de la temperatura, muy cercanas a, creo, 180 bajo cero, por ahí está más o menos el oxígeno se descarga. Lo cual es bastante peligroso, así que hay que despejar todo para poder cargarlo. Una vez que está todo cargado, el combustible criogénico de la primera etapa se carga el de la segunda etapa, y ahí ya tenés el cohete armado. Pasaron 2 horas y media más o menos. Después tenés que estar mirando, chequeando todo el tiempo, el clima, cómo está, para ver si podés hacer el lanzamiento o no. Y en este caso, el problema es que pasó una tormenta por al lado, pero el cielo estaba muy encapotado. Eso significa que el cohete cuando despega tiene que pasar por nubes y el rozamiento del cohete con las nubes puede provocar rayos, como es de esperar cuando es una tormenta eléctrica. Y ya ha sucedido, como les comentaba antes, con el Apolo 12 y con otros cohetes, en los cuales, ahí me aclara Joel Martínez, 207 grados bajo cero, de hecho mucho más frío todavía. Recuerden que además el Falcon 9 1.1 Block 5 es más criogénico todavía que los anteriores, por ende puede llevar un poquito más de combustible. Entonces, bueno, básicamente tenés que cancelarlo. No te conviene tener semejante bola explosiva con un rayo que le pegue y pueda romper sistemas o lo que fuera. Bueno, como dice Rubén, imaginen un lanzamiento acá por la presión de hinchada lo harían igual. En realidad, por suerte, está separado de lo que pide la gente y eso es muy bueno. Pero los rusos suelen lanzar en condiciones mucho más complicadas. Pero, por ejemplo, la Soyuz no utiliza los mismos sistemas que se utilizan en un Falcon 9. Es distinto el cohete, es un cohete que está recontraprobado hace 60 años. No ha cambiado mucho, no es muy potente, pero también tiene la ventaja esa que se banca un poquito más. Es como el AK-47, pero de los cohetes. A ver qué más decían por acá. Bueno, sí, el clima arriba de las nubes, clima del mar. De hecho, muchas veces están lanzando siempre antes del lanzamiento globos. Y a veces en días completamente despejados también lo han cancelado por clima. ¿Por qué? Porque hay vientos arriba. Entonces vos no podés a 30.000 metros tener una vibración tan fuerte por el viento que te desvíe del curso y te pueda llegar a destruir el cohete. Bueno, chicos, lamentablemente no ha podido ser. Y iba a ser en este momento. Faltan 6 minutos para la fecha estimada que no va a ser. Y ahí están aburridos los pobres tipos en el cohete. De hecho se los muestro de vuelta para que vean, pobrecitos, cómo están ahí. Mirá, todavía están ahí adentro. ¿Qué hacen, pobrecitos? Ahora tienen que sacar todo el combustible de eso para poder sacarlos a los tipos y poder volverlos. 2 astronautas con mucha experiencia. Además, cada uno de los dos tiene 2 vuelos en el shuttle, con lo cual el piloto había sido el piloto de la última misión. Así que hay que esperar. Acá va a llegar Wonderful. Bueno, lo que pasó es muy sencillo. Mal tiempo. Y puede llegar a pasarle a todos. ¿A quién no se le cagó una cita por lluvia? Vamos, chicos. Tu cara para comer cancelado está para hacer un meme. Bueno, ¿qué quieren, chicos? Es inevitable. Esto pasa y debería pasar menos seguido, pero porque están en un lugar donde siempre hay sol, pero no siempre hay sol en la Florida. Nos vemos el sábado, sí, nos vemos el sábado con suerte. El sábado va a haber streaming también para esto mismo. Espero que les haya gustado el fondito que les puse así animado. No me digan que no se ve re cheto el fondito. Vamos, miren la onda que tiene. Sí, estoy tratando de hacer los streamings así con un poco más de onda, porque si no era toda una porquería. 40 probabilidad el sábado, ¿en serio me decís, Nicolau? No. Bueno, igual el clima puede cambiar bastante. En Estados Unidos, en Cabo Cañaveral suele variar bastante. Por ende, puede llegar a despejarse completamente y tenemos buen clima. Chetardo mal, dice Nicolás, sí, es bien chetardo mi fondito. Y como habrán notado, puse el chat de ustedes para que quede en el video, así que todas las barbaridades que ustedes dicen siempre quedarán registradas en video. Porque es importante que quede, ¿no? Bueno, sin más preguntas, chicos, voy a proceder a finalizar el streaming, continuar con mi trabajo, porque tengo que seguir trabajando, tengo muchas cosas por delante. Así que con el clima del sábado, lamentablemente el clima es lo que no se puede ni predecir ni solucionar. Bueno, puedes destruirlo, sí, si querés, pero no era la idea, creo. Bueno, chiques, hasta aquí ha llegado todo. Muchas gracias por estar ahí presentes. El sábado, una hora antes, probablemente sea a las 3 de la tarde y comience el streaming. Así que 3 y media. Lo voy a programar y van a poder poner la campanita para que les avise, les mande el aviso. Así que recuerden después poner el reminder de YouTube que te avisa cuando empieza el streaming y les va a llegar en el teléfono y van a poder verlo en el momento. Así que espero que así sea. Se prueba la iluminación, me dice. ¿Repiten todo el proceso? Sí, se repite todo el proceso. Así que, bueno, nos vemos, chicos. He de trabajar. Y ustedes también, vagos, que hacen hasta ahora viendo un streaming. Adiós.